Hello everyone. Today I'll briefly be going through the process of taking a model from Maya into Substance and in Unreal. The goal here is to show that you can do your textures, your shaders, and the look development in Substance. Take that and with just a few clicks, get that same result in Unreal. Alright, so let's jump quickly here in Maya and take a look at the model that we will be using. This is the sleep pod that I'll be taking into Unreal. And as you can see, it's pretty much ready to go. It has all the shaders assigned to it. And there are two models. And the reason for that is that this here on the left is my original model. I want to make sure that all my edge loops are properly supported and that I keep a clean topology. And this really helps me work a lot faster that way. Once I'm ready with it, I can smooth it out and have this denser model here, which is what we'll be using. And only because we don't have the affordance of render time subdivisions in Unreal. So I send the models as smooth as possible so that I can make sure that I can get close to them without having to worry about issues with the mesh. I can have a lot more flexibility when creating cameras and animations. These models have been wrapped already. I use Prism UV to do this, and I'll just quickly open it here. Here's our mesh, and for this model I decided to go with UDIMS. It is a great software, so if you haven't tried it, I will give it a go. And I'll try it in the near future to create a tutorial that maybe goes through some of the basics on this software. Here is the asset in Substance, and I will not spend a lot of time here. I really just want to open it up and show you so that you can have a frame of reference as to what the shaders look like in Substance. The goal is to do all of the look dev here and then just export it to Unreal, plug in the maps, and not have to worry about doing any further look development or shaders or anything else. And the great thing about Substance as well is that you have the iRay render. This can give you a much better idea of what this might look like in Unreal or V-Ray or Arnold. Alright, so now that we're happy with the textures, it's just as simple as exporting our textures and get them over into Unreal Engine. So here we are in Unreal, which is where we want to be at, in order to try to get this asset to look one-to-one with what we did in Substance. And for that I already have the geometry imported. And let me go ahead and bring it all in. As you can see also, if you notice, I have all these shaders. These are all the shaders I assign in Maya. And you could very well bring it all under one shader and just put all your UDIMs under one shader. I kept it separate because I have, a few things that I want to animate, some self-illuminated textures that I want to be able to independently control. So it's a way of also making changes quickly on independent areas without having to maybe, just change the door if I need to. Alright, so here's the model. We can now go into textures. We'll need to bring in our textures. One thing to remember when doing bringing in textures to Unreal that are UDIMs is that you don't have to bring in all of the textures. You just have to bring in the first UDIM, or the first tile. Here are the textures. If you scroll over, you'll see that you have 1003 and 1004. So it has brought in all the necessary UDIMs. Open up the editor, delete the color, and bring in our textures. We have our diffuse that goes into the base color. We have our normal, goes right into the normal, or self-illumination, which is right into emissive. And then we have our metallic roughness and ambient occlusion, with the red channel going into ambient occlusion, blue channel going into metallic, and green channel into roughness. So we hit apply, and this does not look right. And the reason for that is that in order to have UDIM working, we need to make sure that we have virtual texture enabled. So if you go to your project settings and just look for virtual texture right here, just go ahead and enable it. It'll ask you to restart Unreal, so go ahead and restart. Alright, so now that we restarted, still doesn't look the way it's supposed to look, and that is because we did not have virtual texture enabled before we brought in the textures, the UDIMs. It still doesn't know that these are virtual textures. And that's a quick, easy fix. We just select them all, right click and convert to virtual texture. Alright, so now we see all the textures, and the first thing we'll notice is that if we remember how the substance model looked, it did not look this shiny. It was a lot more matted, had a lot more differentiation between the different areas of the door. The reason for this is because the roughness, metallic, and ambient occlusion, it defaults into sRGB. Easy fix, you just go ahead and uncheck that. That will make it into a linear image, and when you close it, you will see this checker pattern. I'm pretty sure this is a bug. Once you've applied it to the texture and you change the from sRGB to a linear, it doesn't know what to do with it. So the only fix I know is to go ahead and bring it back in, reassign the channels, save, and now we're looking at similar texture and shader as what we had in Substance Painter. I've gone ahead and assigned all of the shaders to the model, and the next thing you'll notice is that things are not looking quite right. There's a lot of deformation on your textures. You know, there's some squiggly there. This should be nice and sharp, but it's not. Even right there, dandelion, you can see it's all warpy and weird. The reason why this is happening is that when Unreal brings in the meshes, it is changing the UVs from 32-bit floating point to 16-bit in order to save memory and optimize things. If this was a asset that is really far away in the midground or the distance, this might not be an issue. If you need this to be a hero asset, you can have this. So we need to make sure that we get these textures looking the same way as they were looking in Substance. Now this is a very easy fix, and it's just as simple as going into your mesh. Under LOD, look for, this is usually collapse, so just build settings, expand that, and you will see a option that says use full precision UVs. Go ahead and check that, save it, and your textures are back. Now you'll have to do this for all of your objects, and you will start seeing everything coming back to the way that you need it to be. Now another thing to note here is that if you have highly reflective objects like car paint or glass, you also want to go ahead and use high precision tangent bases. Go ahead and click that as well, and what that's going to do is going to ensure that your reflections are nice and smooth, that you don't get any weird swiggling on your reflections. You can just check both of them. I usually check both of them on everything, at least everything that is hero, so that I know that I won't be running into any issues. Cool. So now that we've done those things, we have now an asset that is ready to be used in a animation or a short film. It should look one-to-one to what you had in Substance. And again, we didn't have to do anything in Unreal other than changing a couple of settings to make sure that our textures are coming in the proper way. But in terms of doing any look dev, this is it. It should be just as simple as going from one software to another one, hook up some textures, and you're ready to go. I hope that you found some of this information useful. If you have any comments or any questions, if you have any suggestions for any topics that you would like me to cover, please feel free to leave them in the comments. And also remember to subscribe. Alright, thank you for watching. See you in the next one.